an eye on the group. Alrighty, you guys ready to hear how we got these upside down trees? Alright. Back in 1984, there was a very big mudslide. Top of the mountain you guys are going on today, all the way past the highway you guys came in on. The city saw this mudslide and didn't really want to deal with it very much, so they cleaned up the roads but left the land as it was for many years. It stayed that way until our founder, Steve Bowie, came along and saw the land, and he decided to buy around 50 acres of it, planning to put a nursery, some walking gardens, and to solve that mudslide issue. Now, to solve that mudslide issue, you had to go and rent an excavator, a very big piece of machinery that he did not take the insurance out on like his wife told him to. He needed that excavator to build 5 big ponds, help the flow of water make its way down the mountain, and as he was finishing his 5th and final pond, he went to take a step back to admire all of his hard work. But as he took that step back, he failed to realize that he had left one log unaccounted for right behind him. And he rolled right over it, and it went into the body of the machine, causing thousands of dollars in damages. Now, he wasn't super happy about that, so he took that log, lifted it up, flipped it upside down, and went to slam it in the ground, hoping it would shatter into millions of pieces and make him feel just a little bit better about the whole situation. But as he slammed it in the ground, it didn't even crack. It just stood there with the roots dangling down, looking like a flower basket. And the more that he looked at it, the more he got this idea in his head. He's thinking, you know what? I can do something with this. So he called his wife. He went, Cindy, I have an idea. You're going to think I'm insane. Also, you may have been right about that insurance. And that's how we got our upside down trees. What's going to happen next? You guys are going to follow me as I make my way towards the front of the group and lead you up past the bathrooms and up to your trams. All right, we'll take a deep breath and learn to silence for just a moment more, please. There are blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, blackberries, cranberries, greenberries, cranberries, elderberries, cloudberries, watermelon berries, cranberries, strawberries, currants, bunchberries, bunchberries, bearberries, strawberries, baneberries, chicken berries, peppercorn berries, and chili berries. I'm sorry? Oh, you never know. Those pop switches get you out of nowhere. Yeah, not all of those berries are edible. A lot of them are, but not all of them.
Here you definitely do not want to eat. Plus we have plants on both sides of the road that'll stick you real bad, like this one here on the right. See the long stem there, big leaves up top. Has lots of little tiny needles all over that plant. Even gets them on the bottom of the leaves, sometimes even the top. You get a bunch of needles in your hand at one time. They're hard to see to get out. They do get infected. Whole point of that infection is to cause you more pain. The plant is commonly known as Devil's Club. It has also earned the nickname of Hiker's Nightmare. Plus it even has a rather scary sounding scientific name, which is Oploponax horridus. Other than all that, it's a very good, useful plant. This is it here on the left once again. It's the only member of the ginseng family we have here in Alaska. Native Americans have been using that plant for a very long time, make ointments, balms, teas, salves, and even walking sticks. It does give big red berries, but they're not actually edible. If you have cameras, you should have them ready due to the 23% gravity pull up the mountain. Can't stop in many places. Here on the right is a pretty good photo opportunity. That is Steve's rock. That's the rock that helped Steve damage his excavator, gave him that bright idea for the upside down flower towers. Whenever we actually get rainwater coming down the mountain, gets to start at the top of a pretty waterfall. It really has been way too hot and dry in this rainforest yet again this year. Nowhere near as bad as the last 2 though. The reason the road is actually wet is because Steve comes up here with his bobcat and a big bucket full of water. He keeps pouring it on the road all day, every day that it doesn't rain. Keeps it from kicking dust up on you guys, and it really helps with traction. These ponds on the right, they are the settling ponds. They collect all the sediment, debris, and rainflow that comes down the mountain to keep us from having another big landslide. Steve put those ponds in for that purpose. They serve that purpose quite well. Normally he'd have to come out about once a year, dredge them all out, get all the sand set and soil comes down the mountain out, keeps from overflowing with it, but I don't think he's actually had to do it in the last couple of years. It's just too hot and dry. Most of our ferns through here are the lady ferns. They get real lovely. Little heart-shaped leaves all over the forest floor. Those are a deer tongue lily, quite abundant in this rainforest. At the base of this tree right here on the left, there's some red berries there. Those are the bane berries. It takes 4 of those berries to kill a child, 6 to kill an adult. You don't want to mess with that plant. Whole thing is toxic. It is a pretty little plant though. The elevation sign on the left says we are 100 feet above sea level. We're going up to the 600-foot level. From there you get to go out on the boardwalk for a couple minutes, where we have by far the prettiest view in town you can easily get to. Speaking of pretty views, though, over here on the right is our famous flower tower shower. Steve just punched a bunch of holes in the garden hose to give you the shower you see there. That thing is actually gravity fed. It's not even hooked up to running water at all. We heading up here to the left into the rainforest. The only reason the lower parts down here are not considered part of the Tongass National Rainforest is because it's Steve's property. It is the same forest structure though. The Tongass National Rainforest is a temperate rainforest, means cold and wet. We have pine tree type plants rather than tropical. This one is 16.7 million acres, the second largest forest in the world. It is the last of its kind. It's the last carbon sink forest on planet Earth. Amazon is ready. Plants on the left, the big waxy leaves, those are members of the lily family called skunk cabbage. They produce a strong musky odor, but nowhere near as bad as an actual skunk. Well, personally, I actually think they smell pretty good. They are not edible for humans, but the bears do tend to consume them about once a year. During the winter time when they hibernate, bears do not defecate the entire winter. They wake up in the spring all clogged up real bad. First thing they tend to do is go running straight for that skunk cabbage. They'll eat it and it'll actually help them to relieve themselves. It does make an interesting little fact to know about that plant, but you definitely don't want to try to mimic that behavior. It's toxic for humans. Native Americans around here used to use it for cooking though. They take a big leaf, wrap it around the fish, throw it on the fire. It would steam and cook the fish for them, but they definitely did not eat the plant with the fish. Steve likes telling everybody that every ancient forest has an ancient rune in it. He loves claiming this thing here on the left is ours. He says that right there is an ancient 5-star squirrel hotel. That squirrel must be living here now. You can tell he's got a sense of humor and a chainsaw though. Two little plants growing wild on it with the red berries. That is the dwarf creeping dogwood. It is related to the dogwood tree down south. That's as big as it gets here. That's the edible red bunchberries. Vast majority of all the plants all around us, all the same thing. Those are all blueberry bushes. Come on, Graham, you can do it. 70% of the shrubs on the fourth floor are in fact blueberries. Do get a lot of different berries. These red ones here, those are the red huckleberries. Good and good for you. It's related to the blueberry, but it's a small red berry. This one here is the salmonberry. Salmon's back there, but the salmonberries are falling off for the year. Salmonberries got their names from the local natives, they say, because the berries look like salmon eggs, but really they look like a big overgrown raspberry. Except they come in a red, orange, and yellow color. Quite tasty. Taller bushes all through here. Those are the false azaleas. Get these cute little bell-shaped blooms. No actual berries or anything. Those ones are actually poisonous. You don't want to go chewing on any part of that plant. It's just a pretty ornamental. They get the little blooms about halfway through the spring. Steve actually does all the planting up here all by himself all over these flower towers. He does it through most of the summer. He likes to bring his plants out, put them where they're going, leave them sitting there for a couple of weeks so that they can acclimate to a changing environment before he actually plants them. That way he's not risking them coming out of the greenhouse, going into shock, being planted right away. He doesn't let anybody help him plant, but at the end of the year it takes about 4 of us about 4.5 weeks to find all those greenhouse plants. We dig them back up, repot them safely, take them back in the greenhouse so they survive another winter. That's why a lot of them are getting so big and pretty. It's been growing a long time. The elevation sign on that tree on the left says we're now 200 feet above sea level. Up here on the right side of the road we have a small cliff up here. Edges of the cliff are real ragged and worn away. That is actually because once upon a time the waves of the ocean actually splashed right up against that cliff and slowly eroded it away. The reason it's possible for the cliff to be 200 feet above sea level. Earthquake capital, and that's because we get roughly around 1,000 earthquakes a month in the state of Alaska. That may seem very extreme, but actually the vast majority of all those earthquakes are far too small for humans to actually be able to detect them without instruments. I've been back up here in Alaska for about 17 years now since I came back. During that entire time, I've only ever felt 6 of those earthquakes. Every one of them were so small, I was questioning whether they were happening. Do get the big ones every now and then, too. Downtown Juneau was actually decimated by a very large earthquake in the early 1900s. They had to rebuild a whole lot of it. Hopefully that won't be happening again. You can see I'm cutting this corner as wide as I possibly can. The soft factor on the right, if I got in it, would be stuck. I am in the nicest, longest tram for a good reason. I never hit anything. Used to drive a truck down south cross country. This is easy compared to that. We do stay to all outside curves just because it's a lot more packed out there. We don't risk getting stuck. We're not actually trying to scare you with the cliff there. Little yellow and black sign there on the right, that's simply a border marker. It marks the edge of Steve and Cindy's property. This means from here on up for a little ways it's claimed by the Tongass National Forest Service. And yeah, I do say claimed and not owned. I don't think them or any of those government institutions should be getting to own anything. They don't treat anything right at all. Here we are at 500 feet above sea level. You can see a lot of the rock over there on the right is still the marine shelf. It means even way up here, 500 feet up in the air, this is one sitting flat on the ocean floor. That is exactly how high up that type of rock actually rises. So up ahead I'll show you a different time. But it shows in the last 10 to 15,000 years, thanks to isostatic glacial rebound. This is how much you can see we still make it up real nice and easy. Even these big trams we're driving nowadays, they tend to make it no problem. These things were actually originally built for Disneyland. Really shows how good of a job Steve does maintaining his road up here all the time. Just the fact that we can get up and down the mountain like this. Coming around this corner here, you can see the edge of the cliff on the right side of the road. This is indeed a different type of rock right here. This type of rock is called basalt. It's a very hard volcanic rock. Took a whole lot of time and effort with the backhoe to chisel this out so we could get through. It shows once in Earth's ancient history this area was actually volcanic. You definitely won't have to worry about that today though. It has not been volcanic in a very long time. You see all the rocks up here on the right have a very funny shape to them though. They even have a lot of cuts, scrapes, and deep gouges all through them. That is because it was actually the glaciers that formed all these rocks. Slowly as they receded through, they just scraped the ground across and carved them out. That's why this place is called Glacier Gardens. You're not coming here to see a glacier, you're coming up to these gardens whose entire landscaping was originally carved out by those glaciers. Now, if you're not afraid of heights, you can look down to the left. We have a pretty view of the road we just came up. On top of everything else, now that's out down there is just like a bunch of gasoline. The only thing that would survive would be out on an island somewhere. There's a large granite boulder over there on the right. We pass one back up on the left back there too. Those are made of granite, same stuff to make all the granite countertops and everything out of. We're too lazy for that around here though. We just leave them laying all over the place. We do have a lot of granite rocks here of all different sizes, but they're not actually indigenous to this area. Every single granite rock we have here were all carried in by glaciers long ago and just dropped off all over the place as they receded through. Because of that, they got the name of glacial erratics, but us locals tend to call them glacier rocks. I know where one is out in the woods about the size of a two-story house. It's quite large. Now, one of the very main reasons this forest was never supposed to catch fire and burn, it's always had all the really old growth mixed all the way through it, all mixed in with all the new growth. Through their symbiotic relationship that they have with very certain fungi in their mycelium network, they're all linked to each other. Connects them all together, makes them able to share resources. It's a very important relationship, especially in this particular forest here, because there's only a couple of feet of soil here. They don't have all those spare nutrients to survive on. It makes all the different species of plants have to cooperate with each other a lot more than they do in most of the other forests. They've even proven by cutting down most of the old growth, they definitely stunted this forest in a way. It's not going to recover for many hundreds of years at best. If you actually start looking around, you'll start noticing that all of our saplings, most of them are all missing half of their needles, looking really bad. They have far less chance of making it to adulthood if they don't have the old growth in the area. Some right there, missing a bunch of needles there. They survive a lot better if there's an old growth tree nearby. They even cut everything down around a couple of oak groves for a couple miles. All the plant life just took it all out, wanted to see how it would recover. Actually grows back far faster, far more efficient, far healthier when it has the old growth in the area to feed everything else. They share it with all the other species too. One old growth tree can be connected to between 40 and 60 other plants and trees, all sending nutrients and everything in all these directions. There's a couple of old growth trees also. Once you start learning all that kind of stuff, it makes it really obvious how much they have actually changed this forest here. The last 3 years, the drought got bad, and I got a bad attitude about it. Decided to start picking on the local population, act like it's their fault to quit raining. I also like to ask them a stupid question. I keep asking them why do they call a rainforest a rainforest. One way or another, everybody keeps telling me this is a rainforest because it rains. So far, 6 of them have added the word stupid at the end of the sentence. Until to my own amusement, they were completely appalled that I was even dumb enough to ask why a rainforest is a rainforest. I'm not quite as stupid as I actually look, and that's not right either. It's not a rainforest because it rains because it's a rainforest. All the old ancient trees, that old growth, they got to be about 800 years old or older to be the true old growth. Once they reach that point, they start doing very specific jobs for the forest that earn them that title. That is some bear poo right there on the left of us up here. Anyways, once they reach that point, they're the only ones that are able to actually get their big massive roots down between all that bedrock down into vast water reservoirs way down below. Through photosynthesis, they pump a vast amount of moisture up into the atmosphere. They create all the clouds and they actually make it rain. It really does rain because it's a rainforest, not the other way around. It's only the old growth that makes that possible. Once you know that, it makes it quite obvious why this one and every other rainforest on the planet are raining less and less and less as more time goes by. Definitely because they keep taking out the old growth. This one used to have all 16.7 million acres of old growth on Earth to keep pristine and intact. They do still say that salmon is actually the cornerstone species of planet Earth. And like 96% of all life on planet Earth critically depends on salmon in one way or another for its own survival. Even if it is a real roundabout way, they still depend on them. It really does make that fish in this place quite important. But if you actually look into our waterways now, what very recently was the very most beautiful, pristine waters on planet Earth are very quickly being tainted with all kinds of sulfur and iron, making all the water turn a nasty orange, rusty color. Before long, we're going to have millions of salmon coming here and try to spawn. They're all going to die in the water, not going to be able to survive it. If it just rains a little, what it actually needs is to get to keep raining all the time. We have all that bedrock, very little soil. It all either gets down into the water reservoirs down below or it washes off the mountains. Can't actually keep all that moisture for later. They need it to rain all the time. That is one of our prettiest flower towers over there on the right. He gets about 200 plants on there every year. Tallest one's up there, the spiked singes. Below that, he's got the abutulon. Below that, the fuchsias, and below that, the oxalis. Going through here is where I like to point out the rotting window forest, because this spot right here is my favorite on the property because it has a bunch running together. You can see it has all the wood laying here decomposing. It has all this beautiful life growing right up on top of it. This one even has a cute little blueberry bush on the end I keep harassing with pickles on the way by. We like to call these nursery logs quite simply because as they lay there decomposing, the plants grow right on top of them and nurse off the actual nutrients from that process. It's a good reason to give them that name. There's also all kinds of different fungi all through this forest. A lot of them, their only job is to find decaying life like that wood, just externally eat it up, put it through a process, convert it to more nutritious soil for the forest. Not only will it eventually add layers, but it keeps what's already there always nutritious so the plants can keep surviving on it. It's just taking a very, very long time to get that soil built up in this